Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. America and all the ships at sea. While I hate for my videos to ever get into a repetitive pattern, it has to be done this week, whether I like it or not. Donald Trump, only a couple weeks ago, has now caused one of the best congressional representatives in United States history to resign her position, and this puppet must say some things pertinent to the topic. You saw my video 2 weeks ago about the Trump train going completely off the rails. Well, folks, I believe it now needs to be said that Donald Trump is no different than many who have occupied the White House before him. Actions speak loudly, and his have now irreversibly harmed this nation. Everything came to an unfortunate culmination on Friday, November 21st, when ultra-MAGA Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia announced her resignation from the House of Representatives effective January 6, 2026. Viewers, as I went into a bit of detail 2 weeks ago, Representative Greene has been one of the biggest champions of Donald Trump and the entire MAGA movement to date. Elected to the House of Representatives in 2020, Greene quickly made a name for herself as a proponent of all things beneficial to the American everyman. But, my viewers, it seems she committed the ultimate sin in standing for the molestation victims of one Jeffrey Epstein and his mega-rich clientele. Donald J. Trump has done nothing but prove himself to be a narcissist bully over the first 10 months of his second term in the presidential office. Yes, even though both chambers of the U.S. Congress recently voted unanimously to have the entire collection of documents released to the public relating to the crimes that were committed at Epstein Island, Trump will never admit fault and continued to publicly chastise Greene for her having teamed with advocates of justice for the Epstein victims. Folks, I do not know how anyone under the sound of my voice can back this president anymore, plain and simple. What worse person is there than one who will not stand up for justice for victimized children? I believe what we are seeing is the worst example of pride and ego in the White House at this very moment. And it's certainly unbelievable for many who thought they were getting so much better this time around. Marjorie Taylor Greene gave a speech in which can be seen various outlets on Rumble and YouTube, whereby she laid out her extensive list of commendable accomplishments in the House of Representatives, and then also laid out in detail the tactics which Trump has used to defame her since she decided to stand for justice for crime victims. Finally, she stated what we already largely knew about the U.S. Congress, that it is a uniparty environment where the wealthy oligarchs pay the players to do their bidding, and mostly against the better interest of America's citizens, who she points out they are elected to represent. I do not know about you, friends and colleagues, but it is certainly difficult to feel good about President Trump at this point in time, just being completely honest. In hindsight, would we be better off with Kamala Harris in the White House instead? Well, that would be a resounding no, but admitting that should never stop us from pointing out the obvious flaws in Trump when his actions and words require it. To do less would go against everything this puppet stands for. Representative Greene also went into detail in her resignation speech about the fact that she would probably be primaried in the 2026 primary elections in your Georgia district. Tell me, kids and cousins, how does a woman who has represented her district and Americans overall get to a point where she actually believes she'll be sent packing in the next primary election? Well, that comes from nothing less than political pressure from the leader of her party, and that is Donald Trump at this moment in time. In fact, she revealed that he had spent tens of millions of dollars to publicly demean her and soil her reputation since his ego got hurt when she went public with her backing of the Epstein victims. Wow. Just wow, folks. Things coming to light here are things we may have suspected from Trump, but never saw up until now. These are, folks, despicable acts if I ever saw them. Even a bit more telling was an interview done with President Trump a couple weeks ago, asking for his reaction to Representative Greene having announced her resignation. Trump flippantly answers, saying that her decision is good for America. Wow, friends and family. That tells us all we need to know about that man, does it not? Marjorie Taylor Greene is a proponent of all things good for America and protecting its citizens against the fraud and corruption of the big political machine. She's a proponent of closed borders, protection for infants in the womb, and even victims of horrendous crimes committed on an infamous Caribbean island. This was a proponent of all things Trump and MAGA up until he decided to pursue his course of hiding all criminal records from the American public a number of months ago. Yes, my viewers, this is not only a direct knife to the back of Representative Greene. I cannot shake the feeling so many Americans, including myself, have been knifed by Trump as well. There really is no other way of stating it, and I never would have predicted it 1 year ago when we were all so elated to finally get to the polling stations and cast our votes for what we thought was a brighter future. As I stated in my video 2 weeks ago on the Trump train derailment, President Trump is a burn the bridges, take no prisoners, scorched earth kind of guy. Well, kids and cousins, it is going to bite him big in the arse this time around, I do believe. Greene hit it on the head in her resignation speech on Friday 2 weeks ago in stating that Republicans are about to lose to Congress in the midterm elections, and they have no one to blame but themselves, and more specifically, one Donald Trump at this juncture. In closing, I will say this to the president. We thought we were getting so much better, Mr. Trump, and shame on us for falling for the ruse. But also shame on you for not standing up for American citizens and champions of our cause like Marjorie Taylor Greene, and even the girls on Epstein Island. Good night, my loyal viewers, and sleep well.